Well, I'd like to welcome everybody back to my YouTube channel. Over the years, I've made a lot of mobiles and a lot of different things. Uh, I've had a number of people send comments asking about, what kind of a mobile do I make. The one I make, I've been doing for a number of years now, is kind of mechanical looking as far as how it goes together. If you've ever made a mobile, you know balancing the bars are the hardest thing to do, and I've came up with a little system that I can just slide some collars back and forth to balance the down stringers for our project. As you can see, I got a bunch of little this is just parts that are left over from other projects. We're going to make our mobile out of all these parts, and so if you guys will follow along, we'll show you how we're going to do it. We'll show you how we're going to drill the holes in it. We're going to use a 30-pound monofilament fishing line for our stringers. We're going to use, I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, this is what they call a crush tubing or a crimp tube. You can find it at any place that sells hardware or parts for making jewelry. And this is the small one. I think this is 2 millimeter. You can run your 30-pound test line through it and then rack through it to make a loop. So we'll show you how we're going to do that when we get ready to go here in a minute. The other thing it requires some little set collars. They look like this. These are have a 3/32 hole in them. They have a little set screw that goes in this little hole right here, and that's what we'll put on our shaft to slide it back and forth to get our balance right. When we get ready to put this together, we're going to start at the bottom of it. We'll balance the first set of hanging pieces of glass, and then we'll move up to the second one, and we'll set it in there. So should be a fun project. The only other thing we need to do is we need to make these little plates right here. Let me get it here. Looks like this. And the way that works is that this will be where we'll put our hangers. Will go down from here. So if you can visualize this, we have a piece of wire here. This is going to go in here like this. We'll have a collar on each side of this so we can move it back and forth on our shaft so we can get it balanced, because otherwise it'll be all crooked. And in this corner right here, in this bottom hole right here, when we make our down stringer, which we're going to have thread it together with the 30-pound test line, right at the end of it, we're going to put a small, here again, jewelry item. This is called a lobster claw. And that little lobster claw will be on the end of our down piece, and it will go in here, into this hole right here. Get it in here. Maybe. There we go. It'll go in here to hold our down stringer with our items on it. So it makes it easier to adjust back and forth rather than trying to bend a loop in it. And the wire I'm using here is a 3/32 piano wire or music wire. It's made by a company called K&S Precision Metals. You need to cut it with a Dremel tool. It's very, very hard, and it doesn't bend. So you have to, if you want to bend it, you have to heat it up to bend it. So keep that in mind. But I'm going to use just 2 bars. One of them is going to be 8 inches long for the top. The bottom bar is going to be 6 inches long. And we'll run several stringers down from there with our glass pieces hanging on it. So anyway, we'll move all this stuff out of the way here. Come back, I'll show you how to use the Dremel tool to cut this, and then we'll go from there. But before we get too far away, this little piece right here, I make that out of that same material that we're using to hold the bottom of our solar lights in. It's a very, very thin galvanized tin. I just cut a piece here again, 1/4 inch wide. And if you can see all the little dots I have on here, there, I've taken a punch and I punched a little mark in each of these so I can go ahead and drill it out with a 3/32 drill. You notice we got some with just 2 holes in it, and then down here at the end we got some with 3 holes. The ones with the 3 holes in it, those will be the ones that go in the middle to tie the 2 pieces together. And when we get ready to put this all together, that'll make a little bit more sense to you. But anyway, Hope you'll follow along in this. Our glass we're going to use has been polish fired in a kiln, so it has all smooth edges. If you don't have a kiln, you can make this project just by taking and cut your glass, put it on your grinder, or use a stone and just round the edges a little bit of it, and you just made up of scrap glass. So we'll be back in a minute. I'll get set up here and we'll get the Dremel tool out. We're going to use a Dremel cutoff wheel, which is a carbide reel, and it cuts through this fairly quickly. So we're back. I'm just going to I brought in a block of wood here, and I'm going to hold this here. Right here I marked where our 6-inch mark is. So this is what the cutoff wheel looks like right here. It's in a Dremel tool. It takes an 1/8-inch shaft on it. And so we're going to put it on to high. We're going to take it right here. I'm going to cut that off like that. And I'm going to just take the end of it here. Clean up any sharp edges on it. Just like that. Okay, a word of warning, if you're going to do this, if you don't wear eyeglasses, or please put on some safety glasses. You saw the little metal flakes flying off here. You're never quite sure where they're going to go, so keep that in mind. Also, when you're doing this, if you were to get off center from here, sometimes you can break these little wheels, and so you don't want, and those parts go flying. You're not quite sure where they're going to go either. So keep that in mind for a safety precaution. So now what we're going to do, we're going to put our diamond tip drill in here. We'll get out our water for our drill, and we'll take our parts here, and I'll kind of lay them out here, kind of how I'm thinking we might put them together, and we'll figure out where we're going to drill the holes. Some of them will drill 2 holes in them. Some of them will just drill 1 hole. They're going to be at the end of our project. So we'll be back in a minute and we'll get that set up. All right, we're back. Kind of laid out. This is how the first 6 of these projects are going to look. They're going to go on the lower portion of our mobile. They're going to go on the 6-inch rod here. We've cut our 2 rods, one at 6 and one at 8. So this rod will go in here. These will be tied together with the monofilament line. This one here will have 2 holes in it. This one here will have 2 holes in it. This one here will only have 1. Here again, 2 holes, 2 holes, and just 1 to finish it off with. So we'll push this out of the way. Try not to mix them up so we kind of make something that looks the same. And then what we're going to do, we're going to bring our pie pan in here like we did before for our drilling. So if you watch any of the other videos on the wind chimes, you'll see how we've done this in the past. So I have a pie pan here, old one. I have a little block of wood here. You want to do that, otherwise if you drill through the glass and right through your pan, then your pan will start to leak and you'll have a kind of an issue that you have a big mess on your hand. So we'll take our this green one right here. You can kind of eyeball where you want to put that, or if you want to take a marking pin and you can mark it so it helps give you a little bit of a guide where this goes. So if we want to do that, we can just put a little bit of a mark right here with our pin. Then what we're going to do, we're going to put the water in here. You have to use water on this. Don't try to do this dry. And we want to go just above the level of our glass. Just like that. So I'm using a diamond tipped drill right here. This has a rounded edge on it. They make them straight also. I like this one because I can start it on the edge and then pull it up, and it seems to work quite well. And we're going to use this on the high speed here again. So I'll show you how we're going to do that. We just take and turn it on. Going to take and hold it right here. Set it on an angle about 45. And then bring it straight up. And that's all there is to that. So there's our hole in our green piece right here. I'll go ahead and drill the rest of these offline. No use to holding you guys up to see that. But anyway, so there's our hole. This is a 2.5 millimeter hole. These drills come in 1 millimeter, 2.5, and 3 millimeter. I kind of like the 2.5. It drills nice. The 1 millimeter is quite small, so sometimes if you're trying to get a split ring or something through there, it doesn't work very well. So keep that in mind. So anyway, I'll go offline. We'll drill the rest of these, and then we'll go from there. We talked about using just scrap glass. I noticed on this one here, you can see right here, it looks like at one time we had drilled this and then fired it and it closed back up. So we'll just come back in here and we'll drill this one for right there, and then we'll come back and drill the top of it here. So we'll be back in a minute after we get them all drilled, and then we'll show you how to string them up. Okay, so we're back here. We got all our holes drilled in our first section for our mobile. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut some monofilament line here. Here again, this is 30-pound test. It doesn't have to be that heavy, but I like the feel of it. I also have some 50-pound, which is a little bit heavier. Takes a little bit bigger crush tubing for it. But peel off your hair about 6 or 7 inches of this. I mean, there's a whole bunch that comes on the roll, so you won't like be wasting it if you have some left over. So I'm just using my regular lead dikes to cut it. You can cut it with a pair of scissors, fingernail clippers, all kinds of different stuff to cut it with. Here's our crush tube right here. I know it's really hard to see because it's so teeny, but what we're going to do with that, I'll try to do this so we can all see it. I usually take my crush tube, get up here real close, and put it through my monofilament line like that. And then what I like to do, be careful you don't let it slide around, it'll fall off the other end there. So put your fingers on it like that. Then I usually like to come through the back side of my glass here, pull up about an inch or so, and then you're looking right here. Put the two pieces of monofilament together and slide the tag end or the other end of it back into this inside the crush tube. So now you've got both of them inside here. See here, now it makes a loop. You can make the loop as tight as you want to. I usually leave it about like that, because if you make it too tight, it gets caught in the corner and you got it hanging kind of crooked. So leave it maybe a little bit of a loop just about like that. And then what you do with it, as the name implies, reach over here and get my long nose pliers. When you got your loop the size you want, take and hold it here. Let me get this straightened back up. I like to keep the two sides together like that. Okay, I like that loop right there. I'm going to just take maybe a little bit smaller than that. Kind of run it back and forth like this. Make sure it clears easily. Then take your long nose pliers and just take your tubing and crush it. That will lock these two together now so they can't come apart. And the tag end here, this one here, I usually cut it off about 3/16, quarter inch from the end. And that gives us our first piece together. Then the next piece, let me get some more crush tubes here. These guys are really little, so keep an eye when you dump them out on your table here. They go every which way, so kind of keep an eye on them here. Okay, there's 3 of them right there. Okay, for this next one now, we're going to take this longer one here. And this gets a little trickier. I'm going to sit down to do this, so hopefully we'll stay in the camera. Okay, so we're going to take here, again, we're going to take this. We're going to take our crush tubing. If we can get it picked up here. We're going to insert it into our monofilament line. just like that. Just let it run down. Here again, I'm going to go from the back side in through the hole. And then I'm going to come back down here. Get it up here in the middle of the camera. Come back down here, and I'm going to pick up my crush tubing, and I'm going to take the tag in here and run it through here. Just like that. Now, you determine, this is up to you. You can make this any size you want. You determine, I'm going to use them, I'm going to space them about 1 inch apart. I don't want this thing to be big, giant thing, so I'm going to pull these apart about 1 inch. So you take the bottom string of monofilament, and you just keep sliding it through here so that you can get it to come in closer. If you pull on this one here, it just pulls it closed on you. So you don't want to do that. You want to take and keep it looped up like this. Pull it back. And I want it about, this is all done by your best guesstimate. So I kind of like it about right there. So I'm going to take and hold it here. Slide up my tubing, my crushed tubing again. Here again. Since this one's kind of in the middle, you can get it real tight if you want to. So just like that. Get it over here in the center of the camera so you can see it. We'll get closer here. So get it closer here. So now we're going to take our crushed tubing again with our pliers. I'm going to go ahead and crush that. Now we've got 2 of them tied together. So we're going to take and we're going to cut it here. So there's 2 of them for our mobile. And then we'll do the 3rd one here, which is going to have the purple one on it on the top here. Here again, take your monofilament, get off 6 or so inches or so. Sometimes you can take your crushed tubing on the table. Here's one that's got away from us right there. Take your crushed tubing on the table, your workbench, and you can hold it here and just feed it in here. Sometimes that works pretty easy. They want to get away from you though, so you got to keep an eye on them. I can't tell you how many of these I've lost, and if you drop them on the floor, just forget about it. You're never going to find them, especially if you're working out in a shop and you've got any kind of mat or anything on the floor. They're really difficult to see. There we go. Okay, we slid that on. Here again, I like to go, like I said, come through the back side. Pull it back up. Pull it over here. Push it together real tight. Run your crushed tubing over the 2 together. Slide it on. Check your loop size so it makes sure it's free. That one did pretty good. Going to pull this around here. Here again, take your long nose pliers. We're going to crush it shut. We're going to take and we're going to hook it onto this one right here. So here again, we need another piece of crushed tubing. See if I can get this one quicker here. That one worked pretty good up on its end. So we got it right here. We're going to come through the back side. When I say the back side, this is the front that's polished. The back side just has a little bit of a texture to it. So I kind of like to do them all the same every time. It kind of makes your project look a little nicer. So when there's hanging, all the real shiny ones will be hanging together rather than have them all mixed up. Okay, here again. Bring it up here. I'll show you what we're doing. I'm going to stick it right here. We're going to slide it through. Oops. Be sure you're building this over a table that's, in case you accidentally think you got it slid through there and it starts to drop and you break your glass. So be careful with that. Okay, so now here again we're going to try to determine, we're going to try to make it as close to this length here as we can. Here again, like I say, it's all being eyeballed. We're just kind of taking a look at it, kind of see what you like. If you want to leave it longer, you can. If you want to leave it shorter, you can. I don't think it makes a whole lot of difference. So I just kind of like to stretch them about the same. I don't really measure them. Looks like we need to bring this one down just a little bit back. So if you need to bring it back a little bit, take your tag in here and pick it up, if you can pick it up. Yikes, there we go. Just push that back just a little bit. There we go. That looks good right there. So I'm going to go ahead right there. I'm going to take my long nose pliers. I'm going to crush the tubing right here. Then I'm going to pick it up here again, take my tag in. I'm going to cut it. So there's our first stringer together. Right here on this end here now, going to here again, I'm going to take another piece of monofilament. Here again about 5-6 inches. Going to take our crushed tubing, put it through our monofilament, come through here the back side again, pull this up, get it lined up here so it goes through here. There it goes. Pull this down. Here again, check your wiggle room here so it's got... Take and put your pliers are... Now, on the end of this one here, we're going to cut our tag off right here. This guy right here. Just take your dikes here and cut that off right there. Okay, now, so we're going to need some way to tie this onto our shaft, onto our rod. And what we're going to do, we're going to use our, here again, we're going to use our lobster claw to go on the end of that. So let's get our lobster claw out here. I don't know what I did with that one I had out here, so we'll have to get us another one here. Got a whole bunch of them. These are not very expensive, so you know, like 100 of them are about $5, so $5 or $6. So you can just have all kinds of fun with these things. So they have a little hole in them right here. So here again, get us another piece of crushed tubing. There it goes. Pick that up, put it through here. Slide our lobster claw on here. Okay, here again, spacing wise, figure out how far up you want to do it. I'm going to probably use it about the same spacing as we have here. So I'm going to take and put my crushed tubing right here. We'll come up here again real close. Feed it into our tubing, just like that. Kind of lay it down here. After you play with this for a little while, you get a feel for how to make this work. That seems to be about where I want it right there. Now in the lobster claw, you can pull it up pretty tight if you want to, and I'm going to pull it up right up against it right here, so it's pretty close to it. Okay, so now I'm going to take here and I'm going to crush that done. So now there's our first stringer for our mobile right here. It's got our lobster claw on it. We'll cut the tag end off here. Don't do that and break it. So fortunately we didn't break it, so we're still back in business here. And then the lobster claw will go on that little piece of metal that I showed you that we're going to drill the holes in. And I'm just going to drill those holes. This is it here again. I'm just going to drill those holes with a 3/32 drill so they'll slide over the wire that we're going to use. And you can see they have a little dimple on the back here. That's where I punched it, so when I start to drill, the drill doesn't wander all over. And I'm just going to drill them by hand with a electric drill. So it's not anything real magic with that. So we'll be back in a minute, and we'll get ready to do the second set here. And maybe I'll just do that offline. Hopefully you got the idea with this first one here, and we'll get the rest of them taken care of, and then we'll come back and we're going to show you how we're going to put them onto our rod. So we'll be back in a few minutes. All right, I want to come back real quick here. We've got our three stringers for our down piece now. I decided to add a third one in the middle here. This will go on the center of our main wire bar that goes along the bottom. So those are all put together now with our monofilament line and our crush tubes. So they're ready to go. So now we need to make these little guys right here. These are the ones that are going to go on the wire, and going to have the set collars on each side of them to adjust for our balance on our unit. So I showed you this earlier. This was all marked off here. So now I've got it all drilled. So now I'm just going to take my tin snips here, and I'm just going to line it up here on my lines, and I'm going to cut these all apart. I'll just do a couple of them here right now. We need 4 of them like this with just 2 holes in it, and we're going to need 2 of them with 3 holes in it. They'll go in the middle. So just to clean them up a little bit after I cut them apart here, I'll probably just take a little bit of a trim here on the ends. I'll trim them pretty close to the hole because we're going to use our lobster clamp or clips to go in between those. And then on the end here, I'm going to just knock off the little sharp edge right here, like that. So just trim them up a little bit to clean them up a little bit. So kind of like that. And now I'll take a little file and I'll go around the outside edge of it. I'll could use a file and use an emery board, just something to round them out a little bit. After we get this all made, because we're using the little lobster clips here to attach them to our bar, I'm going to take all of these things off of my bars, and I'm going to take the bars and I'm going to paint them, and I'm going to probably paint them a flat black. So then we'll come back and we'll reassemble the whole unit. So anyway, I'll go offline. I'll get these all cut, and when I come back, we're going to show you how we're going to put them on the first row at the bottom. Now we're going to start our mobile at the bottom, and we're going to build up as we go. So this is the first part. This is the first layer of it, and we'll show you how we're going to balance it out. We want that bar on the bottom to go perfectly flat, straight. And then the one that goes above it, we want it to go flat straight too, with the hangers coming down. So by using our set collar and by sliding them back and forth on our shaft, we can get it balanced out just perfectly. It's a lot easier to do than trying to bend loops into your wire and then move them back and forth. Normally what happens if you start bending loops in wire, if you don't have it right where you want, the thing's going to hang crooked, or after you undo it and try to do it again, you end up breaking your wire. So this is kind of a foolproof method. I know it's a little more mechanical looking than bending all the wire, but I found over the years this works quite well, and it makes it a little bit easier to balance it out. So we'll be back after we get all these cut and finished off, and then we'll come back and we'll hang these onto our first piece of our music-R wire here. This will be the bottom one, which is the 6-inch one. And so we'll have one on each end, and we'll have one in the middle. That'll be the one with the 3 holes in it. And then we'll figure out how to get it to balance out evenly. And so I'll show you how we're going to do that when we get ready to go. So we'll be back in a minute. All right, we're back. We got all our little pieces all cleaned up now a little bit, kind of rounded the corners on them and so forth. So now we're going to assemble this bottom section here, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. We're going to take this is our 6-inch piece of piano wire right here, And we're going to, right here, we're going to take and we're going to put our little set collar on here. It just sits on there like that. We're going to take one of the ones with just the 2 holes in it. It goes on here just like that. And then we're going to put another set collar on here. And we're going to line these right up at the end, flush with the end. Just take a small Allen wrench that comes with the collars. And we're just going to take and we're going to take and tighten it up on our wire. Then we're going to run this one all the way down here. And we're going to kind of line up the set screws, just kind of make it look a little nicer. It's not super important, but I kind of like to keep it all lined up. So we'll take and tighten it up. So you get this effect right here, where you have your little tab hanging down, and you have your 2 set collars on each side of it. Now in the middle here, we're going to take and we're going to also put a set collar in here. If it doesn't go on, you probably got your set screw in a little bit too far. There we go. And we're going to take one of the ones with the 3 holes in it. It sits on here like this. And here again, we're going to put a set collar on that side. This is the one we'll use. And we'll just leave it loose like this. Because this is the one we're going to use to slide back and forth to get our balance so that these wires will be hanging straight. So down at this end here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to get my set screw lined up here. I'm just going to tighten this up. I'm not going to tighten it really tight. I'm just going to tighten it up so it doesn't move up and down. Okay, it's going to take one of the ones with just the 2 holes in it now. It goes on here. And then we'll put our last set collar on here. Here again, we're going to make it go flush. Whoop. These little guys want to get away from you sometimes. Okay, we'll put that right on the end flush. That's got to go in a little bit more. There we go. Going to move this around here. What I'm doing here, I'm lining up this this set screw with these set screws down here. Okay, you're going to slide this up now. Come here and just loosen this one up. Line up your set screw. Then just take the short end of your Allen wrench here. And you can kind of tighten that down a little bit. We're not going to fool with these on the end anymore. So we'll do both sides here. Okay, so that takes care of that. Then what we're going to do, we'll take our first runner right here. Here again, have our lobster claw on here, like here. You pull back, right here it has a little trigger right here. You take and you pull back the trigger like that. It opens it up and it goes in the hole, just like that. Slide this one down. We take the outside one here again. Here's the little trigger here, pull it down. Goes right in the hole here. So we got the first one hung. Now the one in the middle here, I decided to add one here. So that's this one right here. So it's going to go in the bottom here also. Here again, take your trigger on your lobster claw. Pull it down. Set it in here. So this is going to give us this will be the bottom of our mobile right here. just like that. Then we'll figure out, we're going to, right here, we'll slide this back and forth here on our hanger here to get this to stay straight here. And I'll get my wife to come out here and we'll shoot a little video here with, she'll hold the camera so we can get this shown. It's going to be a little bit hard to do, but I want to show you how we balance this out. What I've done to balance it out is I've taken a lobster claw, on a piece of monofilament line with a split ring on the end of it. I'll hang that down. That'll represent our down piece for our project. So I'll take this lobster claw and hook it into this hole right here, and then we'll slide these back and forth until it's level. So I'll be back in a minute. I'll get my wife out to give us a hand, and we'll put a backstop on our board here so it'll show up and we can see what we're doing. So we'll be back in a second. We'll let this go together. This part of the video, this is probably going to be harder than making the whole mobile, is how to film this so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so this is our little lobster claw here, just on a piece of monofilament line. This has the split ring on the end of it to hang it up with. And so here's our project right here. So anyway, what we're going to do, we're going to take right here in this hole right here, and we're going to open up the lobster claw and we're going to insert this. So see if I can do this without getting completely in the way here. So we're going to insert it. I'm going to open the claw, and then I'm going to insert it right in here, and I'm going to hang it here. So anyway, so obviously that doesn't look too good. So we want to make this bar parallel or straight. So what we're going to do, by having these set collars on here, we can slide them back and forth on the bar here. So we're going to slide this up, and it needs to go this way. This is the heaviest side, so it needs to go this way. So we're going to slide it that way. You can see now we've gone a little bit too far because now it's sitting more like this. So we can bring it back just a little bit at a time. And we're trying to make it straight. And you can see how delicate this is. I need to go back just a little bit more. That's almost perfect right there. So you can fool around with this by sliding it back and forth. And I mean, we're talking like 64th of an inch can make this go slanted one way or the other. So that is pretty good right there. So what I'll do is I'll take my Allen wrench now. I'll go in here and I'll tighten up those two set screws so that'll hold that for us. And I'll line up the set screws up along with these and just make the job look a little nicer. And then we'll go back and we'll build the top part of this. It'll have 3 stringers on it also. The middle stringer here will be hooked to this just like this is. And it'll be hooked up to the next bar up on top here. And it'll have a series of stringers coming down. We'll do 3 of them also. We'll probably put maybe a diamond or something in the middle of it right here. So that's how we're going to balance that out. So if you can imagine, if you're making this with bendable wire, as you came here and you tried to make that loop and then go on, how difficult that would be to get that loop right in the right place so that you got a nice straight hanging mobile. So anyway, we'll be back in a minute. I'll get that other part put together. It's going to be made just exactly like this. We'll come back and show you how we're going to put the ends in the middle in it. And but we'll go ahead and we'll drill all the pieces and we'll get it together. We'll put it together just like this with the crush tubes on it and the lobster claws. And then we're going to go ahead and we'll mount it here and go on up to the top with a, it'll have like a lobster claw spinner up here, and then it'll go on to hang on to the monofilament line. So anyway, it should come out pretty nice. I like the colors on it. So it should work out great. So we'll be back in a minute. We'll get this all together. Here again, I apologize for the video. It's a little hard to figure out how to get this together. All right, well, we're back. We got all our pieces made now here. So this piece here is going to be the one that goes on the top of our project. It's got a split ring on the top of it, and it's got a bigger lobster claw with a swivel on it. So that'll go at the top of our project. So we can put that aside. And then we've got our pieces that are going to go onto our rod here. We've got the one that goes on the far left, one in the middle, and one on the side here. So I'll go over this really quick again. This is how we're going to put this together. And then we'll go back. I'll get this all balanced off, and we'll come back and show you the finished product. And then, like I said before, I'm going to take it all apart and spray paint the rod and all the collars a flat black, and then we'll put it back together, and then we'll show you the end of the video. So here again, we're going to take a set collar, going to put it on the shaft, slide it over. We're going to take one of our little brackets, stick it on here. We're going to put this one on here like this. We'll make it go flush with the end of the rod. Okay. Sometimes the set screw, when you put them in here, you put them a little bit too far, and then they're sticking down and they won't go by the tube or by the wire. There it goes. So I'm going to tighten that down. Going to slide this one right up next to it. Push it up against our little tab here. Tighten it down. Now in the middle here, we're going to do just like we did on the first set of our mobile. We're going to take a set collar. We're going to stick it on here, and we're going to roll it all the way back. Now we're going to take the one with the 3 holes in it. We're going to go in the center hole here. And then we're going to get one more set collar here. We're going to leave this one loose, because this is the one we're going to use to balance our project on our rod here, so that the rod is parallel. We want them both parallel. Now this project, I'm just basically showing you some ideas. You can use these, and you can make any design you want. You could make a whole bunch of different strips going along the side, some long, some short. It doesn't have to be, this is going to turn out to be pretty big. So we'll put the next set collar on here. But anyway, this is just kind of an idea to show you a little bit my idea, or how I do the mobiles. And so we'll put this last set collar on here. Whoop. Well, I'm not doing very good here, am I? There we go. Bring it up to the edge. Here again, I'm going to come down to this other end, and I'm going to see where my set screws are here. So I'm going to line up all the set screws the same, or as close to the same as I can. Like I said before, that's not important. I just think it makes the job look a little nicer. Push our little plate in here. Put our set collar up against it. And then we're going to tighten this one up tight too. So then the way this is going to go together, we'll take our first stringer here, right here. We'll take and pull this latch back on the lobster claw. We're going to set it in here, just like that. Then we're going to take the outside one here. Going to open up our lobster claw. Set it in here. And then the one in the middle, we're going to take and open it up. It's got a lobster claw on both ends of it. And the reason for that is that's going to tie the two together. I've got this a little bit off center. I can turn it. I can use either one of these for the top. I think we'll use this one here. I think we'll use this one here to go here. And we'll take and put that one in here. So that gives us our pieces for the next layer down. This guy here that's coming down here, this will attach to this one here. This is going to attach to our lower bar. Let me get the lower bar, and we'll show you how this is going to look. Like this. And this lobster claw will go on to this little clip right here. Now, by centering this like we did with this, we use this as a starter. I'm going to do the same thing. So when we find out where the balance point is on the longer one, when we tighten this down, this stringer here will run straight onto this one. This one will not change the balance of this one after we find out where the center of this one is. So I'll come back as soon as I get that balanced out. We'll hook it on here, and then we'll put the other one on the top here. In fact, we can do that now. We'll just take our bigger lobster claw, open it up, stick it in here just like that. Like I say, you don't have to make it near this big. I just had all these pieces left over from projects, so I just stuck them all together. So like I said before, you can put as many or as few pieces on here as you'd like. So I'll be back in a minute, and I'll get this straightened up, and we'll take and try to shoot the video again with the backing on it to show you how the project's going to look. So we'll be back in a second. All right, well, we're back. We got it all together now. So this is the top here with our split ring on it. And as we come down, you can see we have all our pieces on here. So we come down. Here's our first rod, which is parallel to the project. So it comes on down. Has all our pieces hanging on it. This is a little tough to photograph because it's so long. It's 40 inches long. Here again, you don't need to make yours anywhere near that long, but I just had all these pieces left over, so I went ahead and put them all on here. So it came out real nice. I'm real happy with it. Like I said, I'll take and break it apart, and we'll take and put the paint the crossbars. You could leave them just like that. They look fine, but I usually like to paint them. And especially if this is going to go into a particular room that has a certain color, maybe if it's a white room, maybe you just paint them white, and they look really nice. So we'll be back after I get them all painted and put it all back together. We can just use the lobster clips to take them off so we don't disturb our settings, because we've got it set right where we want to. And so I'm real happy with the way it came out. So from here, we'll be back. We'll get it all finished up. We'll hang it indoors, and we'll take a look at it. All right, we've got our project all done now. So I've got it out in the backyard hanging up. So it came out really nice. The hardest part of the whole project was trying to figure out how to photograph it. So anyway, I hope you guys have followed along. Let's walk up here and we'll take a little look at it here. There's a fun project to do. Here's your the bars with the set collars on them. You can see how they lined up here. And we'll go up the top one. We'll take a look at it also. So anyway, it's just my idea or my way of putting these together. You could do it any way you wanted. And as I said before, you could make this any size you wanted. I just got carried away here. This one here is like 40 inches long. But it was made all out of leftover scrap pieces from other projects. So I'm real happy with the way it came out. Well, we'd like to thank everyone for watching my YouTube video. If you have any comments, please send them to me. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. And we'll see you on the next video. So thank you for watching.